Good morning and welcome to a sunny Queen's Park Oval, wherever you may be picking up this broadcast. It is day 2 of the West Indies Championship here, round 2 between the Leeward Islands Hurricanes and the Guyana Harpy Eagles. And so far, the first day belonged to the Leeward Islands Hurricanes. They lost the toss. And the Guyana Harpy Eagles decided that they will take first strike. And it was an awful batting display from them. They were bowled out for 116. And in response, the Leeward Islands, the two openers, took the score to 126 for none, with both batsmen getting half centuries. Hodge, 51 not out, and Kimo Paul, he was not out on 55. So they dominated day 1 of the proceedings, and you have to think that the Guyana team will have to play catch-up from here on. The bowling for the Guyanese, Paul, he had none for 11 from 8 very economical overs. Nile Smith, he was a bit expensive, none for 39 from 9. Pumall, steady as usual, none for 24 from 11. Pestano, he bowled a good line, good length, without really troubling the batsmen, none for 17 from 9. And Moti, he also had 9 overs for 22 runs. But it was a very calculated batting display from the Leeward Islands Hurricanes openers. They didn't take chances. They played every ball on its merit, and they were well deserving of their half centuries. Of course, Hodge played and missed a couple deliveries, so did Powell. But in general, they batted with a lot of determination, a lot of application, and a lot of concentration to put their team in a very, very commanding position. So what do we expect on day 2? It would be a situation where the Hurricanes would look to bat out the day, because they would want to bat Guyana out of this match. And if they can get maybe a lead of about 250 or thereabouts, if they can get to close to 400, through between 350 and 400, I think they would be very happy. Will that take the entire day? It may do if they bat as they did yesterday. They certainly did not go after the bowling. They were very calculated in their approach. And if they do that today and maybe add another, say, 250 runs, that could take them up to 375. And then they go into day 3 even more so in a commanding position. So we'll have to wait and see exactly how they approach their innings. And on the other hand, the Guyana Harpy Eagles, they would want to pick up a few early wickets. They would want to make some early inroads into the Leeward Islands batting. If they can get these two openers within the first half an hour of play and expose the middle order and continually pick up wickets and maybe get the Hurricanes out for in the vicinity of 250, they will have to first knock off the runs of maybe 120, 130, knock those off, and then try to bat and set the Hurricanes a total to get on the last day. So it's all conjecture so far. If the game was played on paper, well, then we'd be all right. But it's not played on paper. It's played out in the field. And not only is it played out in the field, but the players have got to show the kind of application and determination to make things happen. But you can see both openers, they are looking to get hundreds, I'm sure. And if they do, it means that the Hurricanes could well find themselves somewhere in the vicinity of 200, 210 without loss. That is not going to be good news for the Guyana Harpy Eagles. They, as I said, they would want to make some early inroads into this batting. It's beautiful conditions here at the Queen's Park Oval. It's sunny, it's bright, it's hot, and it's a lovely day for cricket as per usual. And we'll just have to wait and see how this day pans out, and if in fact it's going to be another day dominated by the Leeward Islands, or can Guyana somehow crawl themselves back into this game. It's going to be tough, because you would have thought if yesterday they would have picked up maybe 3-4 wickets, that they could have been in the game. Now, as I said, it's not over, because if they pick up these early wickets, they can certainly get themselves back in the game. Well, I'm Colin Murray, and again, it's a good morning to you, and we have here with us, let me put it like this. He's not too down, he's not too depressed. He's come all the way from Guyana, and he was depressed a little bit yesterday, but I think he's looking forward to the day from maybe a better display from the Guyana team. Good morning to you, John Ramsing. How are you?
Good morning, Colin. I'm very well rested, I must say.
Well, that's good.
Yes. Yesterday is done and dusted. That's behind us.
Okay, I hear you.
That's the message the Guyana Harpy Eagles, they're saying as well to their supporters, to their fan base. Yesterday is behind them, and they want to start today on a different foot, and they really want to put things into perspective. They have done this before, coming from behind to win matches and coming from behind to draw matches. It's a tall day ahead of them.
Well, Gudakesh Moti is starting the bowling, and immediately Powell gets a single. Delivery, give him some air just outside the line of the off stump. And there was Powell getting into the drive, hitting it just to the right of Pestano at mid-off. So he picks up a single. So he goes up by 1 to 56. And the total now on to 127 for none.
Yeah, but it's a nice partnership. The openers, Hodge and Powell, really put their heads down yesterday afternoon and batted Guyana pretty much in the position that they're in right now. And the way they played and missed, it's part of cricket. They're humans that are playing cricket. The bowling of Kimo Paul asked a lot of questions, supported not necessarily by the others. And while we were expecting Pumall perhaps to come and hit the right areas early, he did, but the batsmen were very watchful, and they played as if they're ready for this challenge.
Beside the batting, John, any aspects of the bowling that you felt could have been improved? You mentioned Paul, you mentioned Pumall. What about the other faster men, Pestano and
Nile Smith.
Nile Smith?
Smith had the opportunity once again with a brand new cherry and did not necessarily use it the best to his ability and to the way the captain and coach perhaps wanted it. It was a bit too wide, a bit too ordinary at times, and did not create enough opportunities. And as a result of that, the Leeward Islands openers, they're pretty much watchful. They were not asked to take a lot of risks, and that's why they're here at 127 without loss.
Well, the first over of day 2 has come to an end. Just a single in it from the very first ball from Powell. It's going to be interesting who Leon Johnson is going to ask to take up the attack from the Willie Rodriguez end, the Jerry Gomez Media Center. It may very well be Kimo Paul coming into the attack, and that's not a bad move. You're bowling, in my view, the best bowler on show in Kimo Paul. Don't think he may get a lot of swing. The conditions are very, very hot and very sunny, but he tends to swing the ball in any type of condition. If he just gets his line right, he can create some problems.
Yes, different conditions today. You mentioned no atmospheric pressure, really. It's very sunny, not cloudy like it was yesterday. And Kimo Paul perhaps will be relying a little bit more on pace today, as opposed to the movement that we saw him getting a little bit of yesterday. But remember, yesterday the ball was very much newer. As it gets a bit older, reverse swing and more swing will come into play as well.
That's what I was about to ask you. Do you think Kimo Paul is a better bowler? And I'm using the word better, meaning is he more comfortable with the older ball than the new ball?
I think he's capable with both. Just a matter of the track that he's given. But I think with the older ball, naturally you will get more.
Yeah. And what's your take on the track? I mean, when anybody looks at the score and see 116 all out,
it's not a 116 track. It's not a 116.
Well, I think the Leeward Island Hurricanes openers have shown that. So there's Paul with his first delivery, not quick. A delivery, just you can see a loosener, but he got some movement, getting it back into the left-hander. And Powell was looking to push it on the off stump. Looking to push it somewhere on the offside. And it just came back at him slightly. Got a bit of an inside edge onto the pad. But we're seeing some movement with the very first delivery from Kimo Paul.
And that's playing with the mind of the batsman. You expect a medium fast bowler running in. Expect a quick ball as a loosener. He gave the opposite.
You could see him, no pace in the deliveries thus far. Kimo Paul just trying to warm to the task of a new day. And it's just two looseners there. This time that is going away from the left-hander, but pitching wide of the off stump. And Powell doesn't have to play at it. So there is Kimo Paul back to the top of his mark. There are two slips and a gully, but the boundary in terms of the offside well protected, as there's a man at that deep point. Going to get an easy single because there is nobody at that backward point or cover point saving a single. The man is all the way down in the boundary rope, so once Powell pushes it in that direction, they pick up a single. 128 for none. Powell goes to 57. Brings the right-handed Hodge back in strike.
Yesterday, Pestano did not bowl too bad as well. He bowled short and quick, asked some questions of the batsman, but he was not necessarily supported at the other end.
Good delivery, just back of a length, coming into Hodge. Yeah, I think we've got to give credit to the openers. I thought they batted exceedingly well. They didn't take any risks. We see this piece of loose sand again. Seems to be disturbing Kimo Paul.
So works have been done at the Oval.
Yeah. Well, the ground has been relayed, but the problem is it's the grass is still young, so that any sort of scratching, any sort of marks is going to pull up the sand.
That patch started giving him some problem because you can see he's now overstepping.
Yeah.
Yeah, not landing necessarily in the right areas, and if that may be a worry, he may very well have to go to the southern end of the ground, which is not, I think, his preferred end.
Yeah, well, I think the ground staff had done some work to that area, but because of the grass being young, problem exists that the sand is going to come up, no grass over it. And as you can see, Kimo Paul is landing right there in that sandy area. It's in our picture now. There are two areas there. He's going to have a look at it there, but he's walking back. So the umpire is going to see what he can do. He's just trying to, whatever loose sand. Maybe they just need to call the ground staff on and try to harden that area. But it's difficult because it's sand-based. The ground is, in fact, sand-based, and being relayed, you're going to have that problem. No ball again from Kimo Paul. So if as you rightly said, John, if that is going to worry him, then he needs to either bowl from the Branlar Pavilion end. But it's all in the mind, you know. To me, a lot of these things are in the mind. But I'm not doing the bowling. It's Kimo Paul.
Yeah, he relies a lot on his run-up, that traction he gets from the ground. So that patch is pretty much the penultimate step before he delivers, and it's going to give him some trouble.
I think the umpire should call the ground staff on and see if they can maybe just compact that sand, because Kimo Paul, you see him having a look at it again, standing there and looking at it. So he may very well have to call the ground staff on and see what can be done, but I'm not sure what can be done, because what has happened is that patch was dug up and the sand has come up. There's no grass at this point in time to grow over that sand. So problem is a lot of the areas you would see with sand, it's because of scratches that the players are making onto the ground. There are some grounds in the world where you can't scratch it, you know.
I know Providence, the ground staff tends to ask you not to scratch.
Yeah.
Give you that paintbrush.
Yeah, a paintbrush. That's right. After just one over? Well, that's
so
maybe you're switching him around. Probably bring Moti from this Willie Rodriguez end, the end in which Kimo Paul seems to be having a little problems with his run-up. But I much prefer Kimo Paul bowling, and I've said it before, from this Willie Rodriguez end. I think he's going downhill, so to speak, and able to swing that ball both ways. But we'll wait and see what move Leon Johnson will make.
So, Colin, we have 2 other games in the round as well happening, but there's also a big game in India.
Yeah, what's happening? Has it started already?
Yes, India, they've won the toss and asked West Indies to bat. And I'll give you the scores after this delivery.
Tell me the West Indies team as well. I would like to know what is the final 11 going into the game. It's a good shot from Powell, but this time hit a little too close to Pestano, is it? At that mid-off.
No,
that's Hetmyer. That's right. That's Hetmyer, who's Pestano was there in the previous over, but he's gone from that mid-off position, and Hetmyer is there now. But that one was hit a little too close to him, and no chance of a run.
So Western is batting first. They've lost 2 already. At the start of over number 8, 51 for the loss of 2. Brandon King 4, Kyle Mayers 31. The openers back in the pavilion.
Brandon King gone for 4. I have a lot of time for Brandon King. I think he's a talented player, but he's just not consistent enough. He just needs to settle down at international level and get some scores, but it's taking him a while. And sooner or later, the selectors are going to lose patience with him.
Yeah. Kyle Mayers 31 from 24 deliveries, 7 fours in that knock.
Yeah, well, Kyle Mayers opening the bat and tends to be in a hurry in the T20 format, and nothing's wrong with that. But what's the rest of the batting lineup?
So the pride of Trinidad and Tobago is at the crease in terms of Nicholas Pooran. He's there for 14 deliveries, 2 sixes already, 15 not out. Chase has just joined him, 1 delivery faced. But the rest of the batting, Rovman Powell, Kieran Pollard, captain, Fabian Allen, Romario Shepherd, Odin Smith, Akil Hussain, and Sheldon Cottrell.
Okay, that's the T20 lineup. So I expect that T20 lineup to do well. I still maintain that T20 format is the best format for the West Indies to get a victory. So Kimo Paul is going to continue. So even though he's having some problems with the run-up, he's going to have a look at it again. He's trying to... That's sand, so there's not very much you can do about it. The grass has obviously been eroded there, either by the players or just the constant running up. The other side is fine. From the Brian Lara Pavilion end, that's fine. But it's just the patch here. Now, what he's decided to do is go around the wicket. So that may be a good idea. Naughty shot from Powell. Was leaving those alone, but what he's seen happening, the man out at the deep square cover position, he's coming to just a backward point. So trying to stop that easy single. And with the man coming in, Powell was going after the ball, thinking if he could find the gap, it would have run away to the boundary. But it was a little too wide of that off stump. Didn't make the kind of height also that he anticipated. Kimo Paul seems to be bowling at the moment well within himself. Yet another no ball. So he needs to decide. He can't be bowling these many no balls. Kimo Paul. Needs to. I always tell you, when you bowl no balls, start a yard further back than you normally would. Gonna get a quick single. Moti was a little too deep in my view. He's either coming in, he's probably can't stop the single, and if it's hit hard enough, he's not going to stop it from going to the boundary. So they've got to make up their mind. Either Moti is in the position to save the single at that backward point, or he's right back on the boundary to save the 4. But he can't save the single, and if it's hit hard enough, it's going to beat him to the boundary. So it's interesting field position in there by Leon Johnson as far as Moti is concerned. Kimo Paul back over the wicket to the right-hander. Too wide of the off stump. He's really looking very uncomfortable with his run-up, which is a pity. Psychologically now, he's just looking at that spot all the time. So in my view, if he's not going to be comfortable, got to take him out of the attack and bowl him from the Brian Lara Pavilion end. And let the spin of Pumall or Moti operate from this Willie Rodriguez end. So we see him coming a little closer to the umpire now, Kimo Paul, trying to avoid that sandy area. So he's coming a little closer, and I see umpire Duguid again looking at that no ball situation with Kimo Paul. Needs to get closer to that off stump. Make Hodge play. Here's umpire Duguid as well, looking at that sandy area. Well, call the ground staff on. Let them try and compact it. It's difficult, as I said. It's sand. What do you do? If I had a clue, I would have sent out some advice to umpire Duguid. But I'm not sure what you can do with that sandy area. Badly lined by Kimo Paul. They're going to pick up a couple of runs. So these two carry on in the same vein as they did yesterday, displaying every ball in its merit, picking up the singles and twos. They've added 9 runs so far this morning. Hodge, he's added 2, and Powell has added 4. The rest have been no balls by Kimo Paul. 135 for none. The lead up now is 19, and would expect Pumall is going to continue. Not sure why what is the reasoning of giving Moti just 1 over and then pulling him out of the attack. Pumall over the wicket. It's a good delivery. Just angled into Powell. Not much spin. See a change in the field. Pumall is asking Kimo Paul to come a little straighter from a mid-wicket to a straight, I would say maybe a wideish mid-on. There is a long on in place as well. There's a mid-wicket, so 6 men on the onside. The backward point position is open. And at the backward square leg, they're saving a single. Powell drives. That's a good shot. He'll have to hurry, and Hetmeyer doesn't pick it up. Well, give him credit. As Powell played it, he was on the move. He called for the single, but it was hit powerfully down to Hetmeyer. And one would have thought if he had moved swiftly to his left, collected that ball, had a shy at the non-striker's end, Powell would have, I wouldn't say he would have been struggling, but it would have been very close had he made a direct hit. But didn't make a direct hit, and Powell gets the single. 136 for none. Powell is into the 60s now. He's going to be looking for 100. When you think of the other openers, Solozano got 66. John Campbell, 123 not out. So Powell is aware of the situation with John Campbell, Campbell trying to force his way back into the West Indies lineup. Because the openers haven't covered themselves in glory on the West Indies team. And I would think skipper Craig Brathwaite, because he's skipper, you will have to pencil in his name. So you're looking for one more opener. And Campbell has already put his hand up. So too Solozano. No, Powell is saying, well, don't forget me. And he's batted well here today. I'm sorry, yesterday and so far this morning. The end of the over from Pumall. He's now completed 13 overs, none for the 26. And it's 136 without loss. Kimo Paul is going to continue. And will be bowling to the left-handed Kieran Powell. Good conditions still here at the Queen's Park Oval. Two other games, of course, being played down at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy, where the Trinidad and Tobago Red Force, they're coming up against the Windward Islands Volcanoes, who was at the Queen's Park Oval last week and lost a thriller by 1 wicket to the Guyana Harpy Eagles. They've gone down there probably a little disappointed, but they did put in a good performance, so that would have heartened them. Oh, that's not good cricket. There was Kimo Paul just flicking the ball, thinking that without looking, thinking it might have been going towards the man at mid-on, but Pumall had already moved to his right, just in case Paul didn't feel the ball. And Paul, with his footballing skills, and I'm not sure how much of a good footballer he is, flicked it towards Pumall, but Pumall had already moved, and so he gifted a single to Powell. Oh, that's a good delivery. Excellent delivery. Pitching just on around the off stump and deviated on pitching. Probably hit the seam, moved away from Hodge. He had to play at it. And luckily for him, didn't get the edge. That's probably the best ball Kimo Paul has bowled for the morning. Really a good delivery. Good line, good length, good bit of movement off the pitch, and it had the pace. 2 slips and a gully in position, just waiting for that edge from Hodge. That's going down the leg side. You could see the hands started to raise. This time the ball cutting into Hodge. But clearly going down the leg side, and no appeal, especially from Kimo Paul. The first and second slips, their hands went in the air. So it's been a better over from Kimo Paul. He's cut out the no balls. That's the first thing he had to do. And then he's moving the ball nicely. Delivery cutting away from him. Hodge, this time too wide of the off stump. So the games at Brian Lara Cricket Academy, nicely poised. Trinidad and Tobago getting to 215. Joshua De Silva, he is now staking his claim, getting to a half century. Delivery from Paul, cutting away from the right-hander, but starting it just too wide of the off stump. See umpire Duguid again having a look at that. Not sure if he has a problem with it, then call the ground staff. Let them see what they can do at. But again, don't think they can do much about that sandy area. As I said, because this field has been relayed, the grass will take a little time to catch in some of these areas. It's well played by Hodge. It's the end of the over from Kimo Paul. A good over in which there was just 1 run scored, and that run was because Kimo Paul, with his little bit of footballing antics, tried to flick it to Pumall, wasn't able to do that, and they picked up the single. 137 for none. Again, we see Kimo Paul having a look. So psychologically, this is affecting him badly. And in my view, when a bowler is not happy with his run-up, then he just needs to decide where he's going to move forward. So maybe an idea for Leon Johnson to think about it and possibly look to see if he can get somebody, maybe one of the spinners from the Willie Rodriguez end. But Pumall is going to continue, and he's going to be bowling to the left-handed Powell on 61. Hodge is on 53. And to take you through for the next 20 minutes or so, it's going to be John Ramsing.
Well, thank you once again, Colin. I know you're interested in that game in India. West Indies have progressed to 66 for 2. Same 2. So we're in over number 10 in that encounter. So here's Pumall to Powell. And the lead is now 21 for the Leeward Islands Hurricanes. 137 without loss. All 10 wickets in hand in first innings. That's a nice flighted delivery from Pumall. Pumall is going to try everything in his repertoire, try to get his breakthrough. At the moment, the Harpy Eagles not sure where that breakthrough will come. They've gone to their best pair of bowlers. Kimo Paul so far not able to get anything from this northern end of the ground. That bad patch in his run-up not helping him at all. And so far from the other end, where Pumall is bowling from, not a lot of turn either. So the Harpy Eagles have their work cut out here on day number 2. Beautiful conditions nonetheless, and it's a light wind blowing from the east across the ground. Caught away nicely by Powell, just waiting at the last moment, opening the face of the batter and allowing the ball to run off. And he will collect another couple. Powell started the day on 55. Hodge was on 51 overnight. Powell is now on to 63. Hodge has just added 2. Very importantly for the Hurricanes, they've not lost any wicket. 139 on the board. Poor pitch of a delivery from Pumall, pitching and left the left-hander into the gloves of the keeper. So Powell had his off stump in some danger there. The ball spinning away from the outside edge of the bat. Well bowled from Pumall to end the over. So Pumall wicketless after 14 overs. None for 28 for him. 139 without loss. Leeward Islands Hurricanes. The lead is now 23. As the discussion continues around that bare patch where the sand is to the northern end of the ground, the umpires are involved. Both umpires, Joel Wilson, the Trinidadian, and Guyanese Nigel Duguid. The players from the Harpy Eagle side, including Captain Leon Johnson, part of that discussion. Shimon Hetmaya, very animated. He likes to imitate the umpires. He's part of that discussion as well. Kimo Paul, the bowler, just showing the umpires exactly what his concern is. Pumall and Nile Smith getting their views heard as well. So the Leeward Islands Hurricanes starting day number 2. 126 without loss after 46 overs of batting. They progressed nicely to 139 still without loss. Hodge was on 51 overnight. He's now 53. Powell, who has had most of the strike this morning, and he's added to his 55. He's now on to 63. overnight. The lead was 10. The lead has now been extended to 23. So everything has been in favor of the Leeward Islands Hurricanes this morning. And the umpires, they have called on the ground staff and third umpire Kelman Kaulasar as well. He's on the field and he's going to be assisting the ground staff to get the repair work started. Not sure how much they can do. Like Colin was saying, lots of work has been done here at the Queen's Park Oval. It's a heavy dose of sand and the young grass not able to hold on to that sand just yet. And remember, as the bowler's running over time on that spot, it will become bare. It's only a matter of time. In the other games, that let you know what's happening around the rest of the around the region in the other games. So John Campbell, like Colin mentioned, 123 not out for the Jamaica Scorpions at the Kensington Oval. The Jamaican Scorpions are playing the Barbados Pride. So Jamaica Scorpions won the toss and they're batting. John Campbell, the captain, 123 not out overnight. Leroy Logg, young opener who played in 2014 in the youth tournament in the Caribbean. He also played in a 7-match series against Bangladesh in Guyana, Providence and Border Albion, but did not go on to that World Cup that year, the Youth World Cup. He's back. He's playing first-class cricket now. 39 he made. Jermaine Blackwood won Nkrumah Bonner 49. Overnight we had Paul Palmer on 76 not out. So very good numbers for the Jamaica Scorpions. 299 for the loss of 3 on day number 1. Jamel Warrican 1 for 57. Shamar Springer 1 for 44. And Jonathan Carter 1 for 7. The wicket takers so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bowlers used by the Barbados Pride. Captain Craig Braffett, none for 15. GM Holder, none for 54. Raymond Riffa, none for 15. Raymond Simmons, none for 53. And Keon Harding, none for 50. All tried unsuccessfully. So that's the situation here. Day number 2 is going to be underway as well in Barbados at the Kensington Oval. Jamaica Scorpions will resume 299 for the loss of 3 wickets. Over at Taruba right here in Trinidad, down south, Trinidad Tobago Red Force 217 for the loss of 5 at the end of day number 1. Jeremy Solozano, the opener, he made 66. Keegan Simmons 8. Isaiah Raja no score. Jason Mohammed no score. Yannick Karaya 72. Joshua De Silva not out on 52. Imran Khan playing his 100th game for Trinidad Tobago Red Force. He has retired hurt on 1. Overnight, Terence Hines not out on 5. So the not out batsman overnight, Jonathan De Silva, Joshua De Silva 52 and Terence Hines 5. 217 Red Force for the loss of 5 wickets. Half centuries from Jeremy Solozano 66, Yannick Karaya 72 and Joshua De Silva 52. Still to come, Anderson Phillip, Brian Charles and Jaden Seals for the Red Force. Preston McSween none for 69. Sherman Lewis 3 for 24. Ryan John 1 for 41. Kenneth Demba 1 for 55. And Larry Edwards, the other bowler, used none for 21. So the Windward Islands Volcanoes, they're up against it down at the Taruba, the Brian Lara Cricket Academy, with the home team, the Trinidad Tobago Red Force, 217 for 5. Just to let you know that Windward Islands Volcanoes team as well, Devon Smith, Teddy Bishop, Kavim Hodge, Kieran Kotoy, Preston McSween, Dennis Smith, Alec Atanese, Kenneth Dember, Larry Edwards, Sherman Lewis, and Ryan John. Good to see Teddy Bishop maintaining his place. He came in as a concussion substitute for Kimani Milius in the last game, and he has maintained his spot in that team. So all to play for down at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy as well. Ruston Chase in the West Indies T20 side has just lost his wicket. Leg before to Ravi Bishnoi for 4. West Indies in the 11th over 72 for the loss of 3, batting first against India. That game is being played at Kolkata. West Indies against India. First of 3 T20 internationals. Brandon King, the opener, caught Yadav ball Kumar 4. Kyle Mayers leg before Chahal 31. 7 fours from 24 deliveries. Nicholas Purahan is still there, having faced 33 deliveries, hitting 3 sixes so far and 1 4. He's on 27 not out. Still to come, Rovman Powell, Captain Kieran Pollard, Fabian Allen, Romario Shepherd, Odin Smith, Akil Hussain and Sheldon Cottrell. So the West Indies bowling looks good on paper. Cottrell, Hussain, Odin Smith there, Romario Shepherd, Fabian Allen. There's no Jason Holder. Perhaps he's being rested for this series. I know he has been playing all 3 formats for West Indies, so he's being managed as the repair work continues here at the Queen's Park Oval. The on-field umpires, the third umpire, and match referee as well, the match referee for this game, Peter Nero. He's there with a white mask and the white cap. So the discussion is surrounding that patch, just where the bowlers will be running in from the northern end of the ground. So earlier we saw the groundsman pounding on the area with a plank of wood just over the area, trying to make it compact as possible. And yesterday they had some work being done there as well. So it's gonna continue a big discussion. And the third umpire, Kelman Kaulasar, perhaps saying you need to cut out this area. He's drawing a box around it, and he's going to do it so to there are 2 spots really. One that is really affecting Kimo Paul as he was running in. That's a bigger one, the one that Kaulasar marked first, and now he's looking at the second one. That is just before the bigger patch. 139, the Leeward Islands Hurricanes, Hodge and Powell, that's Munson Hodge, the right-handed batsman, and Kieran Powell with international experience. They both looking very compact. Leeward Islands Hurricanes, they lost their opening game in Barbados to the Barbados Pride. They scored heavily in the second innings in that game. Devon Thomas got 100. He got a half century in the first as well. So the umpires are asking the fielders to leave the field. This is quite interesting. So the third umpire is remaining on the field. Match referee Peter Nero is on the field as well. And the standing umpires, Nigel Duguid and Joel Wilson, they're escorting the Guyana Harpy Eagles players off the field, and the batsmen as well from the Leeward Islands Hurricanes. And I rather suspect the marking that third umpire Kaulasar has done, he's going to ask the ground staff to get that part out of the ground. As we see the tools coming onto the field as well. It's now 10:36, so play held up just about 10:30, just after half hour of play. And the patch of heavy sand looks as if it's going to be taken out of the ground. And while that is being done, the players and umpires are off the field. And with local knowledge and experience here at the Oval, Colin Murray will perhaps have an update for us. Colin, what's happening?
I don't know if I'll have an update, but what they will have to do, John, because it's a sand-based field, and because the grass there, basically because it's newly relayed and the constant running over it, the grass has basically, that area is now devoid of grass. What they've got to do is dig out a piece of grass from the berm or from somewhere else and put it there and sort of put back the grass into that sand area, into that sandy area. So you could see them digging out the sand there and shoveling it out. And what they're going to have to do now basically is put a slab of grass. That's the only thing I can that I can tell you that has to be done. And they've got that slab of grass now, and they've got to compact that back into the ground. That's the only thing that can be done at the moment. So whether that will hold, that's another story. But there's not much else you can do. So they've got to actually dig out the sand and then place that, because you've got to have that level as well. Because you don't want, should I say, a little hump as the bowler comes into bowl. So that's got to be flattened as they go forward. And they're ponging that in now. As you can see them actually ponging that slab of grass that they've taken out from another area. Now, I suppose the question could have been asked, why didn't this happen overnight? But they can't do that unless they've been told that by the umpires or the match referee. The match referee could have gone to them overnight and said, listen, I'm concerned about that sandy patch. You need to try and repair it overnight or first thing this morning. But I don't think anybody felt that it would have been that bad. So you can see that more or less that slab of grass being put in there and being pounded into the ground now to get it level. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. You see, the thing is, John, because the ground has been, I mean, it was finished by October. So it's going to take some months for the grass to really catch on. So once you scratch the ground, you're actually digging out the grass and you're going to see sand.
Yeah. So the entire outfield was...
Oh, the entire outfield was redone. Yeah. One pitch was relayed, but the rest of the square, there was nothing, no problems with it.
What about the lighting, Colin?
Sorry?
Was any attention given to the lighting?
Yeah, I mean, the lights are in pretty good order, you know, and the lights here...
A few years ago we had
Super 50. We had some problems, yeah. No, that has been dealt with, so there's no issues per se with the lighting. And I think all is in order. The scoreboards are non-functional at this point in time, because they have been there since the World Cup. And just parts have been changed, but I think it's outlived its usefulness now. So they've got to look at the scoreboards. I would love to see back a manual scoreboard, because my thing with the manual scoreboard here, and I don't know if you remember it, John, it used to be in between, just to the left of the Carib stand, where that electronic scoreboard is now, just to the left of us here, to the eastern end of the ground. There was a huge manual scoreboard there. And what I liked about it, you kind of walked into the ground. I see they're also doing that other patch. There's another patch there, John, that they're also going to take care of. And they're actually digging out the sand. And they're going to put some grass there as well. That's about the only thing they can do. Yeah, and the thing is, when you walked into the ground, you could have basically just looked at that scoreboard and it would have given you all the information. You would have seen who batted, how they got out, all the bowlers, the figures of the bowlers, etc. With these electronic scoreboards, you basically, if you come to the ground late, you've got to ask your neighbor or your friend for the information. You know, and that's what I don't like. Let me put it the other way. That's what I like about the manual scoreboards. You know, they give you all the information. And I see no reason why you can't have one manual scoreboard and one electronic scoreboard. I think I think Kensington, if or one of the grounds, either Kensington or Antigua, they still have the manual scoreboard.
Not Antigua for sure. I don't think it's at Kensington either. They've all gone electronic.
What about Providence?
Providence has that manual scoreboard for sure. Yes, so Providence for sure still has the manual. They have the electronic and replaced screen as well. But the big scoreboard, they have two manual scoreboards, to be honest. One, the big one, and one that gives you a summary. That's operational as well.
And that's good.
But there's also another venue around the Caribbean that gives you that manual touch.
Yeah, it's,
We haven't had cricket a while around the Caribbean.
well, that's true. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
Well, Nile Smith is out there, and he is testing that patch of grass.
So viewers, you're not missing any cricket at the moment because the players are off the field. The umpires, they're looking at the two bare patches that are just in front of the square in the runway of the bowlers. So they've done some work there, and they continue to do some work. Match referee Peter Nero is spearheading that task. He's on the field with third umpire Kelman Kaulasar and the ground staff, and has just been joined by Nile Smith. So all the other players are off the field, and play has been held up momentarily while that repair work is being done. It was causing Kimo Paul a whole lot of issues this morning.
Yeah.
And yesterday we saw some of the other bowlers from the Hurricane side being affected as well. And the groundsmen came, they bring out that plank of wood and they were pounding it to make it a bit compact, but nothing really could have been done. It's sand at the end of the day.
That's right.
Yeah.
So they've taken another patch of grass, and they're coming with it in the buggy, and they're going to place it into that other area. Question is, psychologically, if these bowlers, how will they react to these just two patches of grass there? So it's going to be interesting. So there is the buggy with the other patch of grass to be put in. Unfortunately, the buggy is going to block us from having a look to see exactly what they're doing. But they've taken some grass from another area, not on the field itself, just off the field. From the but from the boom, which is just off the field, and they're going to put it into that area, the other sandy area in the run-up.
We can also look at it this way, Colin. It may just give the bowlers that extra spring in their step to get that breakthrough for the Harpy Eagles.
I know you're thinking that way, John, and that's good. That's a good thought. But it's psychologically, it must affect them. Once they run through a couple times and they then realize, look, this is not a problem, then I think they will bowl properly. But I would hate for this game to be stopped or to be abandoned. Let's hope it doesn't reach that stage.
Yeah.
But I think the guys want to play cricket.
Yes.
But having said that, you don't want to be hampered by any problems.
I know the venues, they're looked at very closely by the match officials, and if they think it's safe, the players are asked to play. And then if the players have an objection, then they take it back to the match officials. So it's that kind of situation. So the match officials, first of all, have to be pleased with the work that has been done here. That's why we see Peter Nero, who's a match referee for this game. He's out there, and the liaison, so to speak, to the ruling umpires, to the standing umpires, is the third umpire, Kelman Kaulasar. And a lot of attention by rights being given to that area, just in front of the landing areas for the bowlers. This is the northern end, so it's really in the way. So Colin, West Indies against India. West Indies 82 for the loss of 4 now at the start of over number 14. Lost a couple of quick wickets. Mears went for 31, Ruston Chase 4, and Rovman Powell for 2. Puran is still there, he's on 31. With him is Akil Hussain. Just got into the crease, he's on 3. 3 runs from 9 deliveries, however. So, Bhuvaneshwar Kumar 1 for 19. Yuzvendra Chahal 1 for 15. Ravi Bishnoi 2 for 10, the leg spinner 2 for 10. And obviously Chahal, the other leg spinner, 1 for 15. So the leg spinners, the wrist spinners, causing West Indies all sorts of problems again in India. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, 3 overs, 1 for 19. Deepak Chahar, the seamer, in his third over now, none for 16. So the West Indies batsmen, they're looking at, as it seems on the score sheet, a bit more comfortable to the seamers, but the spinners have them in all sorts of problem.
Just looking for some updates on the regional games. I see Jamaica, they have progressed to 323 for 8. John Campbell didn't add very much to his 123 overnight, just got to 127. And the other overnight batsman in Paul Palmer, he only got to 76.
Oh, he's gone too?
Yeah, he's gone. He was bowled by Reefer for 76. And the other batsmen haven't really scored anything very much. Williams went for 2. Morrison without scoring. Merchant is there. He's on 7, not out. Mindley, he had 9. And Gordon is not out yet to score. So from 323 for 3, they certainly lost wickets very, very quickly. Sorry, I think there were 299, were there? 299 for 3? Yeah, there were 299 for 3. And Palmer went with a score on 301, so just added 2. And then 2 runs later, Williams went. 1 run later, Morrison went. 6 runs later, Campbell went. So they basically lost 4 wickets for the addition of 11 runs.
That represents a good fight back from the Pride.
That's right. That's right. And the man doing most of the damage was Raymond Reefer, 4 for 23.
Nice. Reefer previously was with the Guyana franchise.
Yeah.
Now has moved back home. Hard worker, very good guy.
Yeah, he's an honest cricketer, isn't he? An honest meaning that we see the 2 patches have been put in, and not too sure.
The on-field umpires are back, but just without their headgear, and they're going to have their input.
Well, it's all well and good just stamping down on it, but you've got to run through.
Yeah.
And Nile Smith is there. I wonder what he is contributing to the conversation. I don't think there's much else they can do, John.
Oh, no. The ground staff, they've done their part. They've gone. They said match officials, that's it. Peter Nero now with his camera, it looks like. We'll take a few pictures.
Yeah, it's...
but it looks much better from this
well, it looks
point.
better. It's whether that patch of grass can hold. We'll just wait and see. But there's the 2 umpires out. Just still having discussions.
But we still must remember as well, we're in the middle of a dry season in Trinidad.
Oh yeah, that as well is the issue.
Yeah.
I mean, I know this field gets watered twice a day.
Yeah.
First, and Queen's Park has their own well, so they're not subject to water coming from Wassa.
Yeah, I saw they were watering yesterday as I was leaving after play on day number 1. And they also picked up an old Express newspaper, and I saw that advisory from Wassa.
Yes.
Advising not to be...
Can't use your hoses.
Don't use your hoses.
Can't wash your car.
Yeah. Just be very cautious.
Yeah. The umpire's not looking very eager to start play there. There's discussion still going on. Don't know what else you can do.
It's good to know that.
It's a pity because had that been seen before, maybe, just maybe, they could have used another wicket.
Yeah.
But it's funny because most of the problems are here on the northern end.
Yeah.
If you look at the southern end, in the square on the southern end, it's all grassed. Yeah. Well, there is some little scuff marks and things like that.
Third umpire Kaulasar has brought out Kimo Paul, the man who has had the most issues with the sandy areas.
Ask
so while Nile Smith was on the field looking to make sure it's fine for him, Kimo Paul is the one with the issue.
Now, John, it's interesting. Suppose Kimo Paul says, "Hey, I can't run up here." Where do we go from there?
We'll have to look at the officials and what they will respond. But I think he tried running closer to the umpire. He went round the wicket to the left-hander.
But it's I don't know what else can be done.
Yeah.
there's Kimo Paul. So he's actually going to try and run through, I would expect now, because
Yes.
that's what you got to do. You got to actually run through and think, well, so this game now hinges on Kimo Paul.
It does.
Well, he's going to have to try it again. That seemed okay.
It seems okay.
I don't
So
know if it's if it passes the test.
he just ambled in because I rather suspect he did not want it to go too hard on the first attempt.
Well, you
So-
got to go hard because you got to feel comfortable.
He's going to go hard now, I rather suspect, because he's back at on the top of his mark,
You got to feel comfortable.
and he's going to go now.
Let's see. Well,
Run right through.
that looked okay to me,
Yes.
but then I'm not running on it. If the umpires give me permission, I'll go and try it, John.
Yeah. So the umpire seems to be heading back to the dressing room, and they're going to collect their headgears, their counters, and whatever else they need, walkie-talkie, and everything that they usually bring out. Sometimes I wonder why they don't have a bag. They have so many things with them. So, and once they're satisfied, the players will return to the field, and we can resume the action.
Yeah, let's hope so, because we all want to see cricket.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate what has happened, but really it's no fault of anyone.
So at 10:36, the players were asked to leave the field, but play
We've
was.
lost what? We've lost so far.
So at that point, the play was already held up for about 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So we already lost some 28 minutes.
28 minutes.
Yeah.
Well,
So
they'll
there-
make up for that, I'm sure. And I hope the umpires give them permission to work on those areas again overnight,
Yeah.
because we're only into the second day of the game, so we've got
Yes.
2 full days of play left.
So a maximum of 2 days available. Let's see how much how much of that time will the Leeward Islands need to complete victory, or how much will the Guyana Harp Eagles come back into this game? They need to have a breakthrough first of all. Hodge 53, 51 overnight. Pumall 63, 55 overnight. 139 without loss. Overnight 126. That lead was 10 runs overnight, and it's been extended so far. So match referee Peter Nero is still on the field. It's all happening here, Colin. It's really everything that you want in a cricket match not to happen has happened here. It's
Yeah.
sunny conditions, nice batting track. All players are eager, and the outfield is not conducive so far. So let's see how it will go.
I'm now having a look at that West Indies scorecard.
Yeah, Powell is now.
John?
Pollard has just joined Nicholas Puran
Yeah,
at the crease because
Akil Hussain came in, at number 6?
yeah, and he
Surprisingly coming in
and
before
out.
Pollard.
coming in before Pollard, before Fabian Allen, before Omari Shepherd. Yeah,
But he's back in the pavilion, so it's just 90 for 5, is
Nin-
it?
96,
96 for 5?
15 overs gone.
Yeah, 96 for 5. You would think that in the next 5 overs, they need to get at least 10 and over to get them up to 146.
Yeah,
And I suppose with Pollard and Puran there, it can happen. And Puran is going to be the main man because he's on 37 from 32 balls.
yeah. He has to start, so he needs to carry through. 96 for 5. So match referee Peter Nero is making his way off the field as well. The lead now 23, as you can see on your monitor. 139 the Leeward Islands have progressed to. They've added some 13 runs this morning. So we'll take a break until the umpires and the players are back on. And it looks as if it will not be long from now, but we'll take a mini break. And then we'll be back when we have action. Do join us. So welcome back to the Queen's Park Oval. It's day number 2, and we're about to resume the action after a break for just about 30 minutes as we were witnessing some repair work being done to the outfield just by the bowler's run-up from the northern end of the ground. The Leeward Islands still batting, 139 without loss, having resumed on 126 without loss. Kavim Hodge is on 53, and with him Pumall on 63, overnight batsmen. So Hodge 51 overnight, Pumall 55 overnight. The lead at that time, 10 runs in reply to 116 made by the Guyana Harpy Eagles. So they've progressed to 139 without loss. Taking that lead or extending that lead to 23. So 13 runs added this morning in the first session of day number 2. So because of that half hour that was lost because of the repair work being done to the ground, play has been extended to 12:30 in the opening session. So viewers, play has been extended in the opening session on day number 2 to 12:30 to make up for that half hour that was lost earlier. So we're going to resume the action with Kimo Paul running in to bowl to Kavim Hodge. First delivery after the break. Hodge drives straight to mid-off. Guyana Harpy Eagles unable to pick up a wicket so far. Now in over number 54. Kimo Paul at the start of his 12th over. None for 19 for him to date. Right arm medium fast bowler. Kimo Mandela Angus Paul. A household name loved by many back home in Guyana and around the Caribbean. Wonderful delivery once again, driven confidently by Hodge and smartly knocked down by Nile Smith in the covers. Kimo Paul is now a household name. During the recent Under-19 Men's Cricket World Cup, he was a match ambassador on one of the days for matches in Guyana. A role I know he really enjoyed. Trying to make his way back on the international scene, was off because of injury. Just a few days short of his 24th birthday. We're celebrating that milestone in terms of age, 24th birthday. Kimo Paul, that's going to be on Monday. So it will be the end of this match when that celebration happens. I know he's a man very spiritual as well, so perhaps we'll see some charity work being done. We'll see some spiritual activities going to his church. Saxakali is also where he lives. It's a religious part of the country. The Seventh-day Adventist area. So Kimo Paul, number 84 on his back. Started his career with number 17 and now has 84 on his shirt. Beautiful delivery, angling back into the right-hander. And Hodge back in behind it, giving the full face of the bat to Kimo Paul. Leon Johnson and Vishal Singh in the slip were impressed with that delivery, cheering on their man Kimo. Slip cordon trying to get the rest of the Harpy Eagles into the game. Flicked to it nicely, runs for Hodge. It's going to just be one, however. The backward square is Moti, and he comes off the boundary, sends the ball back to the keeper. Anthony Bramble with a broad brimmed hat collects. Sunny conditions, quite different today, number 1. On the opening day, it was very hazy conditions throughout the day. And even at one point, the ground staff had the covers ready to come on the ground, but they were never asked to come on. The rains stayed away. It's totally contrasting, very sunny. Oh, good delivery again, angling it away from the left-handed batsman this time, making some shape back into him. So that's the end of the over. The first after that interruption for some repair works to the ground. The Leeward Islands continue to bat and bat well, 140 without loss, leading by 24. Pumall is going to pick up the attack from the southern end of the ground, the Brian Lara Pavilion end. He's going to be bowling to the right-handed Kavim Hodge. In fact, it's Monsin Hodge. Monsin Hodge. I don't know where Kavim slipped into my brain from. Kavim also plays cricket at the first class level, but he's from the Windward Islands Volcanoes. So Monsin Hodge is on strike. He drives to extra cover and cannot pierce the field. It's a very heavily packed offside field for Monsin Hodge. To the feet, to the bowling of Pumall. There's a slip, short extra cover, extra cover. There's also a short third man, backward point, a cover, and mid-off. 7 fielders on the offside. Just a mid-wicket and a mid-on the onside. There, the ball goes to the mid-on fielder. So Monsin Hodge looking very compact, very solid since yesterday when he started his innings. Pumall just one-dimensional so far, not trying too many varieties, just trying to get back into the groove after that 30 minutes break. Flighty delivery, driven back up the track to end the first Pumall over after the break. So the Leeward Islands, after that maiden over, 140 without loss. So there's the match summary. Guyana Harp Eagles, they won the toss and batted for us yesterday. They were bowled out. They were blown away for 116. The Hurricanes then started the reply yesterday afternoon in the second session. And after 53 overs of batting, they're larger than charge. 140, that should read. 140 without loss, leading by 24. Paul to continue. Good carry to the keeper. Bramble taking it just about midriff. Some away movement from Kimo Paul again. It's the carnival season in Trinidad. We know it's the greatest show on earth, but it's quite strange because we're still in a pandemic. So it's not that hustling and bustling that I am accustomed to whenever I visit Trinidad this time of year. That COVID-19 has really put a damper on many things, including carnival. This one is driven down towards extra cover. There's a chase on for the field at mid-off. Hemraj, and he's going to pull it up just in front. No, he gives up the chase. It was beautiful shot. A ball that was pitched up just wide of the off stump. And Powell elegantly stroked it, not hitting it too hard, just timing it nicely and finding the gap on it. Run away on the outfield. Still very fast. Hemraj was given chase, but just at the last moment lost the race. So the total moves on to 144. So they're getting closer to 150, the Hurricanes. Pumall extending his total, his personal tally to 67. The lead on to 28. So the Harpy Eagles will really keep an eye on that lead. They do not want it to get out of hand, but so far they're not able to pick up a wicket. So the game is being controlled by the Hurricanes at the moment. Kimo Paul looking for the breakthrough in his 13th over. Oh, nice delivery. Pestano held its own on its way to the keeper, just dropping in front of Bramble. The experienced Bramble holding on the bump. So the Harpy Eagles will have to create chances because at the moment nothing is going in their favor. The batsmen are just prepared to block the good deliveries, allow wideish ones to go outside the off stump down the leg side and put away the bad balls. So not taking any chances really, the openers from the Leeward Islands. So because of that, the Harpy Eagles will now have to try to create the chances. Bring in, perhaps I would suggest some of the part-time bowlers. You know, Paul, as Paul, Paul, he can give you a variety, bowling with his right hand. He's ambidextrous as a bowler, you know. But it would look to him to bowl like he did in the first game against the Volcanoes. Bowl some off breaks maybe. Bring in perhaps Leon Johnson, who can also roll his arm over to try to do something different. So at the end of the over, and Colin has just rejoined us with the Leeward Islands starting the day on 126 without loss. They have now progressed to 144, extending the lead from overnight from 10 to 28.
Yeah, and they continue to bat well, both Hodge and Powell, not looking in any problems whatsoever. And again, we talked about the variety in the Guyana bowling attack, and there's not much variety. You've got the two left-arm spinners, and then you've got Hemraj as well, another left-arm spinner. You've got the medium pacers in Smith, Pestano, and Paul. So even the medium pacers, they're all very one-dimensional. There's no left-arm seamer, there's no leg spinner, there's no off spinner. And I think if you have to fault well, not fault, but if you have to criticize, if you have to wonder in terms of the variety of the Guyana bowling attack, it's just not there. But these two continue to battle on. They batted so very well thus far. The pitch is playing exceptionally well. There's no devils in it. You bend your back, you're going to get a little bit of bonks, you're going to get a little bit of pace. Not much turn at the moment for the spinners. One giving a little bit of air, and Hodge must think he missed out on a boundary. Whipped it off the pads because it was giving some air, just angled into the right hand, and he whipped it off the pads, but got it straight to Hetmeyer at mid-on. Another forceful drive from Hodge. This time, just coming down the pitch and driving. Again, couldn't beat Hetmeyer. 7 men on the offside. That slip on Silly Point. Oh, it's hit the man at Silly Point, straight in the chest. Can't hold on to those things, or more by the shoulder rather than the chest, more to the top of the shoulder blade. It's got hit. And luckily for Hodge, it didn't rebound in the air, or Bramble may have been able to come forward and take the catch. It hit him and went straight down in front of him. So he's got to rub it a little bit. There's Vishal Singh. He's got his hand where that ball struck. Some better delivery from Pumall to end the over. Giving it a little bit of air, but that one just holding it back slightly, and Hodge had to reach for it. So at the end of the over, good sunny conditions here, still prevailing at the Queen's Park Oval. 144 without loss. And Pumall has completed his 16 overs, none for 28. And, Nile Smith is going to operate from this, the Willie Rodriguez end. Smith, right arm, fast medium, replacing Kimo Paul. Still just the 2 slips there. Well, just a slip on a gully, but skipper Leon Johnson, who's just out of the picture, having a word with Nile Smith, is going to go back, I would expect, into a first slip position. Kimo Paul has just left the field. Let's hope it's not from an injury and that he's all right. Johnson still making some adjustments to the field. And this game is just going along its merry way. Guyana team not making things happen. And Powell and Hodge very content to push and play the balls on the merit, pick up the odd single, wait for the bad ball if it comes along. They've really batted well. They've not looked in trouble whatsoever. 144 without loss. Smith, he's had 9 overs, none for 39, so we're going to see him for the first time this morning. It's bowling to the left-handed Powell with 2 slips on a gully. I see those 2 patches of green grass that was put to prevent the sand from being too loose there. And that's pulled away by Powell. That's going to run away. That's 4 runs. So Nile Smith, short delivery and pulled by Powell. And we see there Smith now just bending over. Let's hope that he's okay. Sometimes when you get hit like that with total disdain, the pain is not so much in your body but in the mind. He was just walking with a little bit of a limp. He's now doing some little stretching. Well, this could be even worse for Guyana if he has any muscular problems, hamstring or anything like that, and has to come off the field. He's just jogging around. So let's hope from a Guyana perspective that he's okay. 148 for none. Powell is on to 71. Tucks this one. That could run away as well. Pumall is after it. He's going to stop it. Oh, he stopped it about a meter or so from the boundary rope. And they pick up 3 runs. That was a delivery just short. And Powell, you could see him getting in line nicely and punching it to a wideish mid-on. And more of a squarish mid-wicket. And he was able to pick up 3 runs. 150 now is on the board. 151 for none. And these two continue to battle away. They greet one another in the mid-pitch and offering some support and congratulations to one another because of the 150 partnership. 151 for none. Well, well, well. Who would have thought that after you dismiss the team for 116, and then all of a sudden you're 151 for none. This game being dominated by the Leeward Islands Hurricanes, and this is after they lost their opener. So they've regrouped well. Here's Nile Smith. He's not himself. Something is not right. Certainly is not the run-up again. They're not paying attention to the run-up, as those patches of grass have been put in. I think think he's not comfortable with, maybe he's feeling a twitch, hamstring, calf. Doesn't look fluent. And that's short, and it's cut away. Pestano is down there. He does well. So just one run. So Nile Smith short outside that off stump. And Hodge would take that any day of the week. Probably upset that he missed out on a boundary. Smith now opting to come around the wicket to the left-hander. You would think that they may need to plug that gap at mid-wicket, because he's bowling with a 7-2 field. The two men on the onside is a wideish mid-on and a man at deep backward square. He's got to keep it away from that leg stump. That's better. Just outside the line of the off stump. That's the line. They need to come fractionally closer to the off stump. It's got to get Powell to play at the deliveries. When you're bowling to a 7-2 field, it's sometimes difficult for the bowler because they know if they stray in line, anytime they stray in line, say middle stump, middle and leg, there's a wide gap between a wideish mid-on and that backward square leg. And there'll be runs for sure. And that's the problem with 7 men on the offside. You tend to go a little too wide of the off stump because you definitely want to keep it away from the middle and leg stump. The Guyana ploy could very well be try to tie up one end, which they should be doing. Tie up one end, stifle the Hurricanes for runs, and then from the other end maybe try and pick up some wickets. You've got to stifle the runs from one of the two ends. Bowled him! Well. Nile Smith has done the trick for Guyana. Powell playing across the line. It was a bad shot for a man who has been batting so very well. He was playing everything on its merit, and all of a sudden he must have seen that gap, that huge gap on the mid-wicket area, because Pumall is the only man in front of the bat on the onside at a wideish mid-on, and Powell was looking to flick that ball wide of Pumall, and he missed. It hit the stumps, and the Leeward Islands Hurricanes finally, they lose their first wicket with a total on 152. Powell looking pretty dejected as he walks back to the pavilion. I think he would realize he played a bad shot. He's gone for 74 from 148 deliveries, but it was a very, very good knock from Powell. Just the mistake now he's made, he went across the line. Had he played that ball straight back up the track, he would have been okay. But that's the danger when you play across the line. And give Smith some credit. He was looking very, very ordinary. He was bowling short. He was didn't get his line to Powell. And here he decided to go round the wicket, maybe angle the delivery back into him, a Yorker length delivery. And Powell was playing all around it. So it's the end of him. The Leeward Islands Hurricanes are now 152 for 1.
It's a very good delivery there, Colin. Came back nicely from outside the off stump and into the left-hander's middle stump and knocked him over. Very good sight, you'll say, for a fast bowler running into a top-order batsman. But let's look at a replay here now, Colin. So we'll bring up the replay in a short while. But one of the things I want to mention, Colin, yet again, another opener getting a start. 74, batted long, weathered the storm nicely yesterday, came back today, did well, but could not convert that start like John Campbell did for 3 figures.
I thought he batted very well, actually, Powell. He was in control, I thought, all the time of his innings. The new batsman coming to the crease is the 4-man. So when you get rid of Powell, you think, okay, you're going to make some inroads. But in comes Devon Thomas, who got to 58 and 112 in the game against the Pride. So he is the foreman in this team, and I would think the Guyana Harpy Eagles would want to see the back of him early. But I must say, Nile Smith didn't look as if he was going to get a wicket. You know, he looked very, very ordinary. Yeah, he looked very ordinary. He was bowling short of a length. His line wasn't that good. And there is Hodge driving square on the offside. They've gone for one. They're going to come back for two because Kimo Paul had to give chase. As Smith was diving to his right. Couldn't stop it. And Kimo Paul gave chase and they picked up 2 runs. Hodge goes to 57. He's batted for such a long time. 214 deliveries he's faced. How is the West Indies going, John? I haven't checked on him for a while. So John is going to get his apparatus. Hope he hasn't gone to India to get me the information. 153 for 6 at the end of 20 overs. Two deliveries. That's not a bad. Actually, they've recovered quite nicely. 154 for 6. And Puran is on 61. He's out for 61. So Pollard is there on 24, not out. And 2 deliveries left. If Pollard is facing, who knows? Anything is possible. So we'll give you that final score with the West Indies in a minute. So the bowlers will have a fighting chance now, but at one stage they looked 130, if they could have got to 130 it would have been okay. But thanks to Puran, 61. Such a talent is Nicholas Puran. You just wonder why he isn't more consistent. I would love to see him play in Test cricket as well. I think he's got that talent. But I think he's forgotten about the 4-day game. And I think he's forgotten about Test cricket. What a sad thing. Because when you look at around the world and you look at the Kane Williamsons, you look at the Steve Smiths playing at Test cricket, you think of why couldn't Nicholas Puran be part of that? I want to say hello to Derek Kalicharan. I haven't seen Derek for ages and ages and ages. Hope he's viewing. Former Guyanese player. I played with him for many years in England. Derek. A little bit of a leg spinner. Couldn't bat as well as his brother. But then not many West Indians could have batted as well as his brother. And of course I'm talking about Alvin Kalicharan. No need to let people know that. So Derek, I know, is living in the States. Thomas, not yet off the mark. Just faced 1 delivery from Smith. Thomas must be full of confidence after his half-century and century against the Barbados Pride. But he comes in here now with a whole different perspective. Against the Pride, the Hurricanes, they had lost early wickets in Hodge and Carty in the first innings, and then in Hodge and Powell in the second innings. Put together a good partnership with Carty. Yes, Thomas driving sweetly. That's going to run away. That's a beauty. Pitched up to him and he went into the drive. That's a man full of confidence and was driving sweetly on the offside. So Nile Smith just giving Thomas the little bit of room he needed to play that cover drive. Was pitched up to him as well. And he went into that smashing drive. Now we're going to see the offside field being reinforced by Leon Johnson. After that shot, the man has moved out from mid-wicket. He's operating with a 5-4 field, or don't think he's reinforcing the field. What he's doing, he's moving Pestano and from that cover position, because obviously he felt that Pestano could have done better. And Pestano has moved to that mid-wicket position, and Paul has gone to the cover point position. Actually, that's not Paul who has gone to that cover point position, because Paul is running down that ball, and they come back for the second as Moti sends the throw in. Man who has gone out there. Oh yeah, substitute is on, yeah. Is that Passad or is that Imlach? Well, I'm going to take your word for it, John, because you know these guys better than I do. I thought for one time it was Imlach. But if you were telling me it's Passad, well, I'm going to go with you. So even that defensive push has come off the bat quickly. So he's middling the ball is Thomas. So West Indies 157 for 7 in their 20 overs. So India will have to get to 158 to win, just at about 8 runs and over. So it's going to be dependent on how well West Indies can bowl here to at least win their first game in India. That's a good delivery, but with Yorker length, and Thomas was digging it out and getting it out to the point position, and they're able to pick up a single. That's a good delivery from Nile Smith, a Yorker length delivery, and Thomas had to come down on it quickly. So it's now 161 for 1 at the end of the over from Smith. He's had 11 overs, 1 for 54. Thomas is quickly on to 7 from just 6 deliveries. Hodge at the non-strikers end, he's plugging away. 57 from 216 deliveries. There's Guyana plugging away here with Pumall and Smith. You would think that they may have to look at giving Pumall a little bit of a rest, and maybe, and that's the problem, because you take Pumall out of the attack, and if you're going to bring Moti, it's much of the same. So do you bring a medium pacer back, or do you try a Paul, who might just offering something different than the left arm orthodox spinner? Devon Thomas looks so confident. He's pushing at that ball, and it's coming off the middle of the bat. There's a slip on a forward short leg. Gonna get a single. That ball is really coming. His timing so far is excellent from Devon Thomas. That ball, again, another delivery from Pumall that he just pushed at, but it races off the bat and goes down to long off. Good conditions here still at the Queen's Park Oval. The lead now is 46. I would think the Leeward Islands would want that lead to grow to maybe 200, 250. Hodge, disciplined as ever. He's played a good hand. The end of the over from Pumall. He's now completed 18 overs, none for 31. The end of it, it's 162 for 1. Nile Smith, no doubt, will be back into the attack and is going to be bowling to Devon Thomas, who is on 8. So the sun has left us here for a while, which would be welcomed by the Guyana players, but I'm sure in a minute or so it's going to be coming back blazing down on these players. 2 slips now, no gully in place for Devon Thomas. So Nile Smith bowling with 5 men in the off and 4 on the on, which tells me that Leon Johnson wants him to bowl wicket to wicket. Maybe just taking back in at times to the right-handed Thomas, because there's protection on the onside with a mid-on, a mid-wicket and a forward square leg. And then there's a man right out on the long leg fence. So I would be surprised if Nile Smith doesn't bowl wicket to wicket. And that's not a bad delivery, just outside the off stump. Thomas not tempted. Thomas loves to play shots. He's not the type of batsman that is going to push and prod and poke. He's going to go after the bowling. If it's a half volley, if it's a full toss, if it's a long hop, certainly he's going to try his best to put bat to ball. He's got to be disciplined, and he was disciplined for that delivery just outside the line of the off stump from Smith. Good delivery. He's going to get a run here because a Yorker length delivery pitched maybe about middle and leg. It was the correct shot for Thomas to play because he was not going across the line. It was a delivery angled into him and just about middle and leg, and he was getting on top of it and he just whipped it to the onside. That's a good shot. Picks up a single. So many times we've seen West Indian batsmen just going across the line as Powell did for him to be dismissed. He was batting so very well. Powell went for 74. Partnership of 152. It's a good delivery again from Smith. He's settled down nicely now. And that wicket he got of Powell would give him some confidence to probably go on to try and get another wicket or 2. Making his way slowly back to the top of his mark. Hodge, not particularly worried. He was beaten with 1 or 2 deliveries today and yesterday, but his concentration has been good. And he's applied himself to the job at hand. That's a good shot. Reaching out to a delivery pitched up to him, just outside the line of the off stump. And there was Hodge just reaching out to it and opening the face of the bat. So you could see loads of confidence in Hodge at the moment. Goes to 58. It's the end of Smith's 12th over. Got 1 for 56. And Hodge goes to 58. The total on to 164 now for 1. A lead of 48 runs. Current run rate just about 2.65, but there's absolutely no need for the Leeward Islands Hurricanes to be in a hurry. Just got to. So Pumall is going to continue. I would have just loved to have seen a little bit of a shake-up in the bowling. Give Moti an over or two. See what happens. Because when batsmen get accustomed to a particular bowler, life becomes easy. And Hodge has faced Pumall now. Since yesterday and most of today. So he's pretty accustomed to Versamy Pumall. 164 for 1. Pumall in his 19th over. Another 73 overs remaining for the day. We haven't lost any overs with the delay we had. Hodge drives, can't beat the field. 225 deliveries Moti and Hodge has faced. Pumall giving it some air, but Hodge not tempted at the moment, just playing from his crease. Pumall, who's gone over the wicket. He was bowling from around the wicket, trying to create a different angle. Final delivery of the over from Pumall. Hodge gonna get a single. He's got to hurry. And Hetmyer has a shy at the non-striker's end, and he was able to get home. The end of the over, 166 for 1. So Smith is going to continue with the total on 165 for 1. Hodge, very close call there. He went for the single, hit the ball firmly just to the right of Hetmyer. Hetmyer, who's an excellent fieldsman, gathered, had a shy at the non-strikers, and I tell you, if he had hit, it would have been a very interesting, because Hodge was, even though he started off quickly for the run, he seemed to be struggling. Probably didn't realize that the ball had gone that quickly. Maybe may have just misjudged it in terms of how quickly it went to Hetmyer. And you could see from the reaction of Hetmyer when he had a shy at that non-striker's end, it missed, and you could see the reaction that he must have felt if he had hit the stumps. Hodge could have been in trouble. Hodge goes to 60. Doesn't want to see run out next to his name. That's probably the worst. Outside of obstructing the field, the other worst dismissal is probably run out. Oh, that's a naughty shot. Bramble, did he hold on to it? No real alarms because obviously Thomas didn't edge it, but Bramble was struggling. Naughty little shot from Thomas. I don't think the ball was there for that cut. Probably beat him a little bit for pace as well. Nile Smith not can be sharp at times when he bends his back. My only problem with him is when he does bend his back, he tends to sometimes lose control. But there, it was a good delivery. Oh, that's 4 runs. He's got a tickle onto that. There's no doubt Thomas got some bat onto it, and Bramble just couldn't get around in time to take the catch. You could see that some of the players a little bit disappointed, but it's always difficult with the pace of Smith, and that ball going fine would have been a great catch, a super catch if Bramble could have got around in time. But there are some people will say, oh, some wicket keepers would have got there. 170 for 1. Thomas into double figures. He's on 13. Looking to take, he's taking his chance. He's going to play his shots, Devon Thomas. He's not one to just push and prod and pick up the odd single. And he's cut it straight into the hands of Johnson, and he's dropped it. Oh, my word. You just cannot afford to do that. And give the Leeward Islands credit. Anything came to hand, they took the catch. Here, this went straight into, it seemed to have hit Johnson in the chest because he's down for the count. Bramble couldn't take the rebound because when it hit him, it bobbled up and he couldn't get in time. Bramble couldn't take the catch, but that ball seemed to hit him rather than get it into his hands. So Johnson is down for the count, and we see the physio is making her way onto the field, but it should have been taken. I think the problem was his positioning of his hands. It went quickly to him, and you've got to have your fingers pointed upwards to take that catch into the palm of your hands. It came very quickly. In fairness to Johnson, it came because there was Thomas looking to cut it. It flew off the edge and went straight into the chest of Johnson. John?
Yeah, he went reverse cup. And because the batsman went hard in Devon Thomas, he went hard, so it flew off that outside edge and quickly into the chest of Leon Johnson, and obviously hit him hard because it rebounded.
Yeah,
and Bramble had an opportunity to go for a diving attempt. He did, but could not get there. So obviously Johnson now, his chest is human chest, not wooden chest. So he's down for the count at the moment, and the physio and all of the Guyana players pretty much around him concerned. And I'm hoping that he's going to be up very shortly for at least from a Guyana standpoint.
I tell you what, John, you don't want to drop a guy who has just come off of 100, especially when he's got 13. But that's the thing with Devon Thomas. He gives you a chance. He plays his shots. He looks to cut. That delivery wasn't there for the cut. He was looking to cut it, and it's the type of catch though that Johnson should have taken. It came off quickly, but at this level, you expect him to take that. He didn't have to move left, didn't have to move right, and it didn't go over his head. I mean, everything was there. It just came off quickly off the bat, and maybe he just was a little bit too relaxed.
Yeah, I think he's going off. Yes, he's walking away. The physio's with him. So I think he needs some more attention than we initially thought. Taken on the chest. And obviously not comforted by that. But the batsman, Devon Thomas, he has been going hard at these balls.
Yes, that's
and
right.
He went very hard at that one. So the ball flew off, obviously. And Johnson, they could not hold on. Yeah, it's a bad miss. I mean, you're looking for wickets after your team is down and out, really.
Not only is it a bad miss, John, but it's the batsman who you've given the chance to.
Yes.
This is a man got 58, 112 in the first game. He's on 13. He's looking ominous. I mean, when I say he's looking ominous, he's looking good. He's playing at every. You can see he's confident, and maybe sometimes that confidence, that overconfidence, can be lead to your downfall. Which I think it's the second time he's been cutting at deliveries. One he missed. This one peeled off, flew off the edge. And Hetmeyer is now gone to first slip. So a bit unlucky for Nile Smith.
Yeah, so Smith will continue to bowl. And I'll tell you a very interesting situation that I'm observing at the moment.
So Smith mixing up his deliveries because this one was just angled into him more on the hip region, on the leg side. He couldn't do very much with it because, again, the field is set in such a way that the onside is very well protected as well.
So while Johnson is off the field, previously the vice captain in Kimo Paul went off the field. So now...
So who's leading the team?
Hetmeyer is in the first slip position. Let's see who's going to be gesticulating at the end of the over.
That's going to be interesting. That's right. So both the captain and vice captain are off the field. Oh, he's hit it in the air. He's going to survive because it goes over the head of cover. So this is a very iffy inning so far from Devon Thomas. The ball was not there for the drive. He was reaching out at it. Well, maybe he heard the no ball call because he was reaching at that ball, trying to hit it over the top of extra cover. It peeled off the outer part of the bat and went over cover. He was aiming more for an extra cover shot. But it was in the air, but it would even, had someone caught it, it would not have counted because Smith has bowled a no ball. 171 for 1. Thomas is on 14. And Hodge, who's much more circumspect, is on 60. But Thomas is adding some excitement to the day's play. That's a naughty shot from Hodge. Very loose. We haven't seen Hodge play those type of deliveries. It was wide of the off stump. It wasn't. It was short, but it was far too wide for him to play that shot. And eventually, thankfully for him, it didn't get the edge. So the end of the over. Let's see. Let's see who's calling the shots on the field. I don't think anybody is calling the shots yet. I think. Let's see. Moti seems not to know where he has to go on field. Actually, that is Prasad, the man who is on the field as a substitute. Do we have 2 substitutes on the field now,
yes,
John?
Both Prasad and Imlak are on the field.
Right.
Captain and vice captain of the field.
I thought Imlak was the man on, but
yes.
you had told me it was Prasad.
You were correct, actually.
Oh, thank you, John. Thank you.
They're both wearing that broad-brimmed white hat.
Okay, that's what confused you.
Yes.
I hear you. It's going to be Pumall. He's opted now to come back around the wicket. And Hetmyer positions himself at full slip.
So Vishal Singh, who's at that forward short leg position under the helmet, is actually asking the field at long off to come into the mid-off position.
Also, you're thinking Vishal Singh is taking up the mantle.
Yes, he was the last vice captain last season.
You know, it's interesting, and I'm going to come to that point with you in a minute. Young Hetmyer was the West Indies youth captain. Not only was he a West Indies, he was a successful West Indies youth captain, winning the World Cup. Is he not one to be looking at to groom, in the next year or so? This is Thomas coming down the track and hitting it over long on. Now, you've got to stop Devon Thomas with that. He loves to play those shots. He's going to come down the track. He's going to go over the top. That's his DNA. There's no doubt about it. So you either decide to allow him to do it, and if he mishits, then you're in business. If he doesn't mishit, it goes over the top. So you either put the man right out and decide to stop him from going over the top and let him play it along the ground. Devon Thomas, I don't think, has the patience to keep playing it along the ground. Even there, he was giving the impression that he might have just gone over mid-wicket. Yeah, so just going back to that discussion, John, about captaincy, I'm surprised that Hetmyer is not being thought of as a future captain. I think a lot of people, however, a little bit frustrated with Shimron Hetmyer picking up 2 runs, Thomas, because he is also such a talent, very much in the mold of a Puran, and finds ways in which to get out, obstructing the field, for example. Hetmyer is a batsman that, he's batting excellent, thinking everything is going great, middling the ball, both sides of the field. And then all of a sudden, he plays the worst shot that anybody could play, and he's back in the pavilion. And I suppose I'm wondering if maybe just giving him that responsibility of captaincy may change his mindset. So the end of the over from Pumall, it's 171 for 1. And Pumall has completed, 20 overs now? None for 36. None for 32, sorry. No, none for 36. That's correct. None for 36 from his 20. Yeah, so, there are some people, they said, that, for example, when Clive Lloyd, before he took up the captaincy, Clive Lloyd was very much a hit or miss. On his day, he would murder the bowling. But then he would also play some very irresponsible shots. And the feeling was when he took over the captaincy from Rohan Kanai, which was a surprise because I don't think Lloyd was one of the front runners to take over the captaincy at the time. I think a lot of people thought Kanai would have carried on for another year or two. But Lloyd then became very, very responsible in terms of his batting. And I'm wondering, you know, something like that could very well catapult the career of Hetmeyer. Give him the responsibility so that, just get back to that after this ball. Hodge picks up a single. He's going to go along nicely whole day like that. Yeah, I'm just saying, give him the responsibility, because how can he, as a captain, condone, whatever word you want to use, another player if he plays a bad shot? What is he going to say to a player who plays a bad shot and gets out when he is doing the same thing? So it's an interesting. You know, I'm looking around at the region, and leadership seems to be a huge problem. The test captaincy was taken away from Holder, which I agreed with, because I think Holder needs to concentrate on his game. Thought he got the captaincy too young, and it affected his performance. Now, as far as I'm concerned, Holder should just go out there and bat and bowl and field, take the catches, and he'll be all right. But when you look around the region, John Campbell was just given the captaincy of Jamaica. Imran Khan is leading Trinidad and Tobago. Well, Brathwaite is leading the Barbados Pride. The Volcanoes, Hodge. So, you know, you're looking around. Hamilton, the Leeward Islands team. So there's not much in terms of leadership that you can say, okay, I'm going to propel him into the leadership of a West Indies team, especially in the test arena. Puran is being looked at now as vice captain for the ODIs when Pollard finally makes his way for the ODIs in the T20 format, or at least for the T20 format, Puran. That's a good delivery from Smith and Hodge in defense again. Hope is being given the vice captaincy of the ODIs, but Hope is struggling. And that brings me to another point about the batting in the West Indies. We've got a batting coach, but I'm not too sure what he's doing. Somebody needs to explain to me what he's doing with the batting in the West Indies team, because we keep failing with the batting. We've got a batting coach. Well, we may as well just have no batting coach if the batting is not doing well. Short delivery there from Nile Smith. He settled down nicely, Smith, after his first couple of deliveries, and he was also stretching the leg and indicating that maybe he was having a little bit of a problem. Beautiful conditions remaining here at the Oval. Lunch is at 12:30 because of the delay we had. And the Eagles would want to pick up another couple wickets. At least 2 wickets before that luncheon interval. They would want to get this man, Hodge. But it's the end of the over from Smith. At the end of it, it's 180 for 1. Hodge is on 61. Thomas, he is on 20, having survived the chance at slip. Put down by Leon Johnson. Cutting at a delivery from Nile Smith that was far too close to him. Peeled off the edge and went straight into the chest of Leon Johnson. At least we think it's the chest area. But he's come off the field since then. But Kimo Paul is back on the field. So he's having a word with Pumall. So he is the man in charge now. Kimo Paul is having a word there with Pumall and with Vishal Singh, who had assumed that role of captaincy. But Pumall is going to continue. What's the update, John? India 30 for 4.
India
Wishful thinking, right?
34 from 3.4.
Oh my word!
You're very close, Colin.
That's too wide of the off stump, spinning away that delivery. Give him a little bit of air, and because of that, it turned away from the right-hander.
Yeah, Ishan Kishan on 8, and Rohit Sharma, the captain, 24, 34 without loss.
No. Rohit Sharma, what a player he is in all formats. And that's the thing. You talk about players, John, from other countries that are playing all formats of the game. But yet, that's a good shot. Runs in it for Thomas. It's probably going to go into the ropes just about now. That's a good shot. Give him some air from Pumall, but turned out to be a half volley. And Thomas had the room in which to drive at it, hit it square on the offside. Good shot. Excellent shot. Score goes up to 184. Thomas goes to 24.
Yeah, that's a beautiful shot, Colin, all along the ground. And the two Chanda Pauls were chasing. That's Hemraj and Brandon. Just could not get there. So beautifully placed and timed.
Yes, he's a lovely shot from Thomas. As I said, he's going to look to attack. That's his nature. That's his DNA. He's not going to push prod if the ball is there to be hit. You bet your life he's going to try and hit it. Good delivery from Pumall, now angling it into the right-hander. Yeah, so, you know, every country you have players playing all the formats except the West Indies. Well, I shouldn't say that. Bar holder. Oh, this hit in the air. Is the man at long off going to catch it? No, he's just going to watch it go over his head, and that's 6 runs to Devon Thomas. What did I say? He's going to go after Pumall. Once Pumall gives it some air, and that was it high, that was it hard. I thought the man at long off may have thought that he had a chance, but then you just saw the head go up, and he was looking at that ball sail over his head. So Devon Thomas, not afraid to take his chances, and even though there's a man at long off, the danger with that is if he doesn't connect it well, it could go straight into his hands. But Thomas is that way inclined.
22 runs off over number 4, bowled by Odin Smith.
22 runs in the over?
2 sixes, 2 fours, and 2 singles.
You're depressing me, John. You're depressing me. But that's Odin Smith, though. I like Odin Smith. I think I have a lot of time for Odin Smith. I think he's going to turn out to be a super player. You know, he's got a lot of pace. I think he's just got to, he's just now has to learn the art of bowling. That's what he's got to learn. You know, the type of deliveries he needs to bowl to the different batsmen. Once he can do that, I think he's going to be all right. Wonderful hitter of the ball. A super hitter, I tell you what. Wouldn't like to bowl to Odin Smith. You got a duck. But it's the end of the over. It's 191 for 1. Pumall has completed 21 overs for 49 runs. Hodge is on 61. Thomas is on 31. And John, you're going to take us through to lunch.
Let's go to lunch, Colin. So 191, the Leeward Islands Hurricanes, for the loss of 1 wicket. That's the wicket of Powell. Kieran Powell was bowled by Smith at the end of over 58 for 74. Since then, it's the Thomas and Hodge show. This is Thomas driving square of the wicket, and substitute fielder Tevin Imlak is on the boundary sweeping. So Hodge back in strike. He's on 6-1. Has been there from the start of the innings. 236 deliveries faced by him so far. Very composed innings. And Devon Thomas, who just hit Pumall back over his head for 6, is on 32 from 30 deliveries, going at better than a runner ball. The lead by the Hurricanes now 64. So the Guyana Harpy Eagles need to look at that lead. But Devon Thomas came and started to score very quickly. The partnership 28 runs so far with Kavim Hodge. fact, the scoreboard has that wrong. So it's now 192-93 now with this single. First wicket going down with a score at 152, so 193 on the board. Means the partnership, it's 41 run partnership so far between Thomas and Hodge. And of the 41, Devon Thomas has 32. We're into over number 68. Is the man from New Amsterdam in Nile Smith bowling to the man from Antigua, Devon Thomas, and Devon Thomas shoulders arm and allow it to go by to the gloves of the keeper. 191. Leeward Islands in their first innings, replying to 116, just 116 made by the Guyana Harpy Eagles in their first innings. And remember, lunch should be taken at 12:30. There was an interruption for just about 30 minutes in the opening session this morning for some repairs to be done to the ground at the bowler's run up from the northern end. Thomas jumping back into his crease, opening the face of the bat, and runs the ball down to third man, where Imlak is on the field, the substitute. He's on the field for Captain Leon Johnson, who was attempting to take a catch off the bowling of Smith. He dropped Devon Thomas on 13. The score was then 170 for 1. So Devon Thomas making the bowlers pay for that so far. His personal tally is now on to 34, and it's now 194 for 1. The Hurricanes. Hodge as well, looking a little bit more positive now, not trying to soak up too many dot balls, but that's a good ball to end over number 68. At the end of it, the Leeward Islands Hurricanes replying to 116 made by the Guyana Harpy Eagles. They're 194 for 1. So Vice Captain Kimo Paul is in charge at the moment because Leon Johnson, the captain, is off the field after receiving a blow to the chest when he dropped Devon Thomas. So Kimo Paul calling the shots, and he has made a bowling change at the southern end, replacing Versamy Pumall with fellow left-arm spinner Gudakesh Moti. So Moti is into the attack. Bowled just one over this morning and was taken out of the attack. Here he is bowling to Devon Thomas. Overnight, Moti figures 9 overs, none for 22. And this morning, sent down 1 over, conceding 1 run. So now in his 11th over, Gudakesh Moti. Very similar to that of Pumall, just a bit taller. They play for the same club in Guyana, the Albion Cricket Club. Some adjustments being made to the fielder down at that deep backward square position. It's called off of the boundaries. Now in the what would have been the 30-yard circle in a limited overs game in Nile Smith. Pestano is being moved from that straightish mid-wicket region. And he's going to go to a very short and straight mid-off. There's also extra cover in Chandapal Hemraj. Regulation cover in Tejnara and Chandapal about a backward point. And that backward point is going to come into play now. Pumall. There's a long off in play. There's a mid on. That's the field for you. Fielder under the helmet at that forward short leg position. Thomas really looking to get on with things, hitting the ball very hard. And was fielded at extra cover there by Pestano. So Moti rushing at the batsman. There's a half-hearted appeal going up. And not outsays umpire Joel Wilson. So that's the end of Moti's first over in a new spell here on day number 2. At the end of it, the Leeward Islands Hurricanes, in reply to 116 made by Guyana, they're 194 for 1. The day started with the Leeward Islands Hurricanes on 126 without loss. Hodge was on 51 and Pumall on 55, leading by 10 runs at that time. They've lost Kieran Powell, spectacularly bowled by by Nile Smith for 74. It was 152 when that first wicket went down at the end of over number 58. Devon Thomas has joined Monson Hodge, and they've taken the score now on to 194 without further loss. Hodge is now on to 62 and Thomas to 34. There's a change of bowling as well at the northern end of the ground. So Smith, after picking up that wicket in that spell, is now out of the attack, and Clinton Pestano, who's now looking at the bowler's run-up, is into the attack. Pestano before this 9 overs, none for 17. Right arm, medium, fast bowler as well. This here in some plats. Good start to the over. Plays his cricket at the Rosal Town Newton Sports Club, also in Berbice. So lots of Berbicians in the Guyana Harpy Eagles lineup. Leon Johnson, captain, plays for the GCC in Georgetown. Tazen Rai Chandapal, Everest Cricket Club in Georgetown. So was Hemraj. Hodge, another single, easily taken. He's going to do it just like that all day, Monson Hodge. Vishal Singh, GCC in Georgetown. Shimon Hetmaya, Young Warriors, Berbice. Anthony Bramble, he plays for Skeldon in Berbice. Clinton Pestano, like I mentioned, Rosal Town Newton Sports Club. Veerasamy Pumall, Gurukesh Moti, Albion players. This one is pulled away nicely by Devon Thomas. Runs for him. Short ball from Pestano. Thomas will not miss out on that. He just pulled it nicely around to that deep backward square region. One bump into the boundary, just in front of the electronic scoreboard. He moves on to 42. He's now into the 40s. Devon Thomas. In fact, he's on 38 still. And the total 199. So 200 almost on the board for the Leeward Islands Hurricanes. Another short ball pulled away again, this time forward of square. Back-to-back boundaries for Devon Thomas. And the 200 is on the board for the Leeward Islands Hurricanes with that shot. Consecutive short balls, one pulled behind square, one pulled forward of square. And Thomas now on to 42. Still scoring at better than a runner ball. And the total, like I said, into the 200s now, past 200. It's now 203 for the loss of 1. The lead now 87. So that's going to get the 3 figures very soon as well. Once Thomas continues to bat the way he's batting this time, he's swiveling again to a ball that's on the leg stump. And I feel that deep backward square position runs around to his right, Moti, and does well. So just one more to the total. 204. So the 200 coming up in the 70th over. 200 coming up in the 70th over for the Leeward Islands Hurricanes. First over of Pestano, an expensive one in the context of the game, coming to an end. 204 the Leeward Islands Hurricanes after 70 overs. Start of a new over from Moti, swept away. And that's going to be another boundary for Devon Thomas. Devon Thomas dealing in boundaries at the moment. That was a full delivery from Moti, and Devon Thomas immediately went down on one knee and just sweeping forward of square. And he's going to get close to his milestone of 50. And it's going to be, once he gets there, his 3rd consecutive knock of 50 and more. Against the Barbados Pride, he had 58 and 112 in the first round. He's on 47 at the moment. So Moti just pushing the ball through, not allowing the ball to grip on this surface. It's a very hard surface, dry as well. So not much an offer for the spinners. So the variety that Moti has opted for is pace. He's varying his pace to the right-handed Devon Thomas. Playing and missing. Looking for more runs this time through the offside, not getting any contact. Moti getting through his overs very quickly, just a very short run up, then delivers. So very soon we'll see the lead getting past that 100 mark as well. It's now 201, 208 for 1. Hurricanes batting against the Harpy Eagles. So after that very expensive over from Clinton Pestano, he has been taken out of the attack and he's going to be replaced by Versamy Pumall. So Pumall, who had a marathon spell at the southern end of the ground, has been brought back into the attack at the northern end. Pumall so far 21 unsuccessful overs, conceding 49 runs. Overnight he sent down 11 overs. So 10 overs this morning in that spell for Pumall. Still no Leon Johnson for the Harp Eagles. If you know, joining us, Johnson dropped a catch off the bowling of Nile Smith. The batsman at that time was Devon Thomas, who was dropped on 13. And in not taking that catch, Johnson took a blow on the chest and went off the field. So Kimo Paul, the vice captain, is in charge at the moment. A lunch will be taken at 12:30 because there was a 30 minutes interruption in play this morning for the ground staff to do some repair work to the bowler's run-up at the northern end. The Leeward Islands Hurricanes just lost 1 wicket in the morning session. The wicket of Kieran Powell, bowled by Nile Smith for 74. First wicket going down with a score in 152. Hodge playing off the back foot, standing tall. No trouble at all. Very much unmoved. Munson Hodge loves the Guyana attack, I can tell you that. So maiden over on return from Pumall coming to an end. The Leeward Islands leading by 92. It's 208 for the loss of 1. So spin from both ends with Moti coming from the Brian Lara Pavilion end. He's going to be bowling to Devon Thomas, who's well set on 47. 48 deliveries faced so far by Devon Thomas. And he's eyeing another half century at the first class level. He has 25 of those to go with 7 centuries. This one has got away nicely. It's going to be a half century for Devon Thomas. There's no fielder back on the boundary sweeping on the offside. So the ball went into the boundary very quickly. And Thomas has brought up his 25th first class half century. Just 48 deliveries faced for him. He has accelerated scoring since joining Hodge at the crease. It's now 212 for 1, the Hurricanes. The 32-year-old Antiguan with international experience continues to look good. He has played 21 one-day internationals and 40 20 internationals for the West Indies. And is hitting very hard at the selectors in this year's 4-day tournament so far. Second half century to go with a century. 3 good knocks from the right-handed batsman. This is his 97th first class match. Quick delivery from Moti, and not a quick one you would say, to end another over from him. So it's now 212 for the loss of 1 wicket, and the lead 96. I do remember the Guyana Harpy Eagles were bowled out quite early on day number 1, halfway through the second session of play, for just 116. The Leeward Islands started their reply with Hodge and Powell, and at Thompson day number 1 they were 126. They've already wiped off that 116. 126. They were enjoying a 10-run lead at stumps. This morning they resumed and they took the score to 152 before Kimo Paul was bowled by Nile Smith for 74. And since then, Thomas and Hodge continue to look very good in good conditions for cricket. The lead now 96. Let's see if after this game Thomas would have done enough as a batsman, because we know that he is multi-dimensional as a player. He's a wicket keeper. He can also come and bowl, and he can bat anywhere, I can tell you that. I've seen him opening the batting, seen him in the middle order. He's featured in already 25 international games, but all limited overs. He's been around for a number of years. Played for the West Indies in the Youth World Cup in 2008 in Malaysia. Started as a teenager for his first class side. '58 in the first innings in Barbados against the Pride. 112 in the second innings. And here he is now on 51. Oh, that's a good delivery from Pumall, forcing Hodge onto the back foot, but Hodge, with that broad bat of his, tight in defense, plays it down to mid-on where Shimron Hetmeyer stands, and he relays the ball back to Pumall. Nice flighted delivery. So Pumall mixing it up from the northern end of the ground, trying his best to get a wicket. Isan Crandon retains the head coach role for the Guyana side, but has a new assistant coach in Essequibian Ryan Hercules, quite a young man, Ryan Hercules, and doing very well on the local scene in Guyana, has been rewarded and given that responsibility as assistant coach. As he overcomes to an end, a maiden once again for Pumall. He's yet to concede a run in this second spell. The Hurricanes 212 for 1. Standing captain at the moment. Kimo Paul is at first slip as Moti starts a new over. Thomas perhaps playing for lunch, which is perhaps 1 over away. So this may very well be the final over before lunch. Lunch will be taken at 12:30. Thomas very watchful so far in this over. This time he plays it through the onside. It's gone for 1. And Hetmeyer is after the ball, but pull it up just in front of the rope at mid-wicket. So 2 more to Devon Thomas. The lead now 98 for the Hurricanes on first innings. So if the over is completed and it's not yet 12:30, you'll have another over before lunch.
214 for 1, John.
Yeah, 98 run lead.
And Thomas has now got a half century.
Yeah.
So the question is, how do you ignore this man? 58, 112, and now 55 not out.
And the lead, exactly 100 now for the Hurricanes.
Yep. It is lunchtime now.
It is lunch.
So it's a situation where the Guyana team, they've got to sit down and regroup, think of how they're going to approach things after lunch. But the lead is 100. I think they need to drop the runs because Thomas is 55 off of just 58 deliveries. When you compare that to Hodge, 63 from 254 deliveries, it's a huge difference. So they've got to somehow try and dry up the runs from Devon Thomas going into the session after lunch. Because if he bats for another hour, the lead could stretch to 150 in no time.
And he may very well have three figures as well.
That's right.
And that's another person putting their hand up.
Yeah.
So calling this lunch on day number 2, the Leeward Islands Hurricanes extending their position of comfort from overnight, 126 without loss. They've progressed to 216, just the fall of Powell's wicket. So they've added 90 runs in this morning session just for a loss of 1 wicket. And they continue to maintain that stranglehold. So Powell, the only casualty this morning for 74. Hodge has moved from 51 overnight to just 63. He's added 12 runs overnight. And now Thomas, 55, has joined him, and they look very well. So the lone wicket going down with a score on 152 at the end of the 58th over. And they've taken it to lunch, 216 for 1 after 75 overs, leading by exactly 100. So we'll be back in about 35 minutes or so. Do enjoy your lunch. We'll try to enjoy ours, and we'll have some more action for you in a few minutes. Do join us.